The embarrassment never stops.
But I do think it takes a little bit of courage to bet on yourself, as I was saying earlier, to dance. Okay, well, let's take a minute, get our footing, and dance over here.
Yeah.
Let's twirl over there.
Before we get into the drama, thank you to Nurex for sponsoring this video. Stay tuned to learn more about Nurex later. Every time Meghan opens her mouth, another lie flies out. And when she's not lying, it's a non-stop loop of self-grandiosity and endless self-praise.
That I created something meaningful.
Hey everyone, welcome back to Scandalous Media. It's Angela here, and you guys wanted another deeper dive into Meghan on the Aspire podcast with Emma Gerde, so your wish is my command. Now, in my last video about Meghan, I discussed the viral tidbits from the podcast, and I am using the term viral here loosely because it doesn't seem like anyone cares, as the episode or Meghan's appearance alone didn't make that much of an impact. But there I talked about Meghan's reaction to the baby mama dance, her performative secrecy as if withholding basic details is some kind of power move, and her demand that others tell the truth, which is always rich coming from her. Then there was the claim about chaperoning field trips and her kids supposedly selling homegrown fruits and vegetables at a local farmer's market. It's all very curated, very Hallmark fantasy, and knowing Meghan, that's probably just the tip of the iceberg. Before we get started, be sure to like and subscribe, follow us on our social media, check out our new Instagram, The Scandalous Media, and make sure to turn on those post notifications so you don't miss the live chat premiere we do for every single video. After watching Meghan and Harry continue their 2025 Chaos Tour, complete with questionable decisions and royal shade, I needed a reminder that some things are still easy to manage, like your health. Thanks to Nurex. Nurex makes it easier for women to stay on top of their health with affordable specialty level care that's available right from home. Whether it's birth control, skincare, weight management, or mental health treatment, Nurex connects you with licensed medical providers online so you can get expert care without having to wait weeks for an in-person appointment. If you're dealing with anxiety, depression, or just feel off your game, Nurex offers personalized treatment plans and ships your medication right to your door in discreet packaging. Skip the awkward waiting room and stay connected through the Nurex app. Your care team is just a message away for questions, adjustments, or check-ins with regular follow-ups to track your progress. Their treatment options cover everything from seasonal depression to insomnia, postpartum struggles, and even OCD. So whatever you're dealing with, there's support built to fit your needs. With insurance, mental health care from Nurex could cost as little as $0, and even without insurance, it's still affordable and accessible. So if you've been thinking about putting your mental health first, now is the time. Thanks to Nurex for sponsoring this video. Taking control of your health starts here. Go to nurex.com/scandalousmedia or click the link in the description to get started. That's nurx.com/scandalousmedia. And now, let's get back to someone who doesn't know how to help themselves. Pick a persona, any persona. One week she's giving bare-faced girl boss in a crew neck on Jamie Kern Lima's podcast, and the next she's in full glam CEO cosplay for Aspire. Meghan's public image changes faster than her product lineup, and that's saying something. Whether she's trying to appear relatable or powerful, vulnerable or polished, it never feels authentic, and the constant shape-shifting is not only confusing, but calculated. Are we supposed to buy into the mom next door, the media mogul, the minimalist founder, or the duchess and designer? Because she cycles through all of them depending on the camera angle. And when someone reinvents themselves this often, it starts to feel more like performance than authenticity. But here's the thing, she keeps switching up her story, which is classic Meghan. When she was close to her dad and happy to leverage his Hollywood connections, we heard all about how she'd hang out on the set of Married with Children after school and do her homework on TV sets. That version of Meghan loved being a showbiz kid. But once she fell out with her father, the narrative shifted. Suddenly, it was all about her mom, the single parent holding it all down. Earlier this year, she had told the New York Times a whole sentimental story about her maternal grandmother, Grandma Jeanette, how she grew collard greens and tomatoes in the yard, made hand pies from scratch, and did all her cooking in a one cast iron skillet. And wouldn't you know, in this version, after school Meghan wasn't on a soundstage. She was at Grandma Jeanette's eating the best after school snacks, as she put it. Now on the Aspire podcast, there's another version, one that conveniently aligns with her latest pivot, moving as ever away from food and into hospitality, whatever that means. Now she's talking about her grandpa from her mom's side who used to have an antique store, and how according to Meghan, she was oftentimes going there after school.
Yes, well, my grandfather on my mom's side, he used to have an antique store, and I would always be oftentimes after school with him, helping with his antiques and watching what it's like to just be in business and also customer service.
Seems like young Meg had more hours in the day than any of us because she was oftentimes spending after school at 3 completely different scenarios, which conveniently fits in with whatever image she's trying to project at the time. So which one is it going to be next? She then goes into this whole tangent about why she got into making jam, and it was because...
And it was one morning, beginning of the new year, so many friends at the same time had texted saying, I don't know what it is, but your jams just make me so happy.
I don't know what cracks me up more. The fact that Meghan claims all her friends texted her at the same time, or the glazing of this jam of hers that she's acting came straight from heaven. She's talking about jam as if it's some huge viral trend right now, kind of like with the Dubai chocolate dessert variations. She then hilariously says,
So maybe that's the thing, because I do believe it was probably more obvious to a lot of people that I would get into fashion or beauty.
No doubt.
That seemed like the natural inclination.
Obvious to who? She's saying it in such a matter-of-fact way, as if the people crowned her as some beauty mogul or fashion icon, when in reality, Vogue called her entire aesthetic harmlessly millennial because she doesn't know how to get with the times. What people thought was going to happen was that Meghan and Harry would live in a quiet, privacy-filled life they claimed they wanted 5 years ago, and when that didn't happen, their whole shebang was making content that inspires people and helps the greater good, hence Archwell, the launch of the Parents Network, all those faux royal tours, and who could forget the snooze fest that was Archetypes. But when that didn't happen, and instead it bored everyone to death, including Harry and Meghan, the next rebrand was to make Meghan an influencer. She went from being part of a monarchy where she could have truly made a difference to now promoting jam and gardening on Netflix. Let's put a pin into what she says next, because I promise you that sometime by the end of this year or next, we'll come back to this point when as ever becomes as if it never existed.
That's not what I was sitting around doing every day. And so my real passion was in this way of sharing. And I love being in the kitchen.
I feel like she's trying to do damage control here ever since the as ever pause that wasn't, which I discussed in my video on why Meghan's 2025 comeback failed. On the last episode of her podcast, which only 12.5 people watched, she said that she's looking at as ever and saying, just pause, let's wait until we are completely stable and we have everything we need.
I have never heard someone say so many wrong things, one after the other, consecutively in a row.
Usually most people wait until they're stable and have everything they need to launch a business, but of course Meghan isn't most people. She then told Fast Company magazine at the time that she planned to move away from food products altogether and hinted at future fashion and hospitality ventures. She even said she wouldn't release anything new until the first quarter of 2026. Only to backtrack and tease an upcoming release on Instagram, and is now rambling about how she can't see herself doing anything else because that's not her passion. Jam is her passion. But you were just saying you want to expand into hospitality and fashion. This is insanity at its finest. Delusional by design. Netflix never asked for this. The narcissism truly peaks when Meghan starts talking about how this brand is basically this bigger than life thing because Netflix is now her partner.
I thought maybe I could translate it into a smaller brand, and then made a very big pivot, as you say, when I went from about to onboard a CEO and a small team to having Netflix as my partner. That takes it to a completely different level.
Totally different level.
And yes, and goes very far beyond my ideas of, I can sell locally. I could maybe be at a farmer's market.
First off, Meghan, Netflix signed on with you 5 years ago to produce content that is inspiring and for the greater good, as was the original motto of Archwell before they turned it into an influencer marketing agency. Netflix didn't see as ever as a huge future billion-dollar business and said, we want her. Matter of fact, no one has said that about Meghan unless it was stated in the terms and conditions that they'll get a bonus of her shitting on the royal family.
Realized they're never going to protect you.
Because that's what sells. We saw this with Netflix and the release of Harry and Meghan. Second of all, I'm pretty sure she's in debt to Netflix because they weren't able to get a return on investment when they invested $100 million in Meghan and Harry, only for them to come back with... Third of all, you can tell that this is more of a vanity project than anything because she loves throwing little statistics like that.
But when everything sells out in 45 minutes, you don't necessarily get...
If you wanted to just sell at the farmer's market, you could have. But unfortunately, you don't even speak to any of your neighbors, you're off-putting in any other sense, and your desire for attention and validation surpasses the lie that you want to live a quiet Amish life in Montecito. She continues on this tangent, talking about how unlike other popular established shows like Bridgerton and Stranger Things that were able to sell products through Netflix because of their existing success, Netflix basically took a chance on her, and just look at how smug she is when she's talking.
Where things were different with me, of course, is that it wasn't a brand that was established. It was my ideation.
And doing it with them, we're developing it as we're going. And so I think, as you know, in building brands, it doesn't happen overnight. It can't happen overnight.
I guess the difference was with me is that so much of that work that can typically be done behind the scenes for most founders, there's just so much curiosity.
No such luck.
Again, Meghan, sweetie, this is part of the pre-existing deal you had with Netflix, and when you failed to produce anything worthwhile, that's when everything pivoted into your influencer career, and now you're selling jam through Netflix because someone has to pay the investors back. The way she's retelling the story as if it's some massive success story is wild. She should teach a masterclass in word salad with a gaslighting dressing on the side. She starts talking about how no matter what she does, there's always so much buzz surrounding her.
There's a lot of focus on every detail and every moment of quiet. It really runs the gamut, but at the same time, what a blessing that it creates and generates so much buzz and so much interest.
And look at that face she's making here. She's desperate to prove her point. Eyebrows raised, hands positioned, and target is locked onto Emma. It's okay, Meg, just unclench. If what you're saying is so true, then let the truth talk for itself instead of trying to force it. Funny enough, she says,
but I'm still never willing to sacrifice or compromise on the quality and to take my time. Someone else's urgency is not my urgency.
Which is rich coming from the woman whose jam was criticized by experts as too runny, and the cherry on top of all of this is the recent revelation that her products are made 2,000 miles away from her Montecito home by Republic of Tea, an Illinois-based company. So not only are they being manufactured a million miles away while most consumers think they're getting Meghan's handcrafted jams, sources are now saying that she is currently in the process of looking for new suppliers for the brand. What happened to...
But I'm still never willing to sacrifice or compromise on the quality and to take my time. Someone else's urgency is not my urgency.
Like, Meghan, you cannot be this bad at what you're allegedly passionate about. If this is you being passionate, then God forbid we see something where you're not passionate. I've talked before about Meghan's deep insecurity, the constant need to prove herself, over-explain, and subtly reframe every narrative in her favor. And it's that exact need that makes her narcissistic tendencies so glaring. There is one moment in the Aspire interview that really stood out to me, when Emma starts talking about the emotional toll of launching a business that doesn't work out. The desperation, the failure, and the hard truth of it.
God knows I got it wrong enough times. Oh my good. Yeah, because you know what? Certainly for me, there was such a sense of desperation to just get something done that
You can literally see Meghan get triggered. Her mask slips.
Get something done that
She pauses for a beat, eyebrows tense, and lets out this awkward, that sounds more like discomfort than empathy.
get something done that the first
Then comes the subtle shift. She quickly adjusts her body, blinks rapidly, then closes her eyes for just a second too long. It's the kind of reaction that says it all, like the truth hit too close to home, as if someone else's failure story accidentally exposed her own and she couldn't hide the discomfort. The rapid blinking continues as Emma talks about her own experiences of learning from failure and her own desperation, and you can just tell it's hitting a bit too close to home for sweet old wannabe American Princess Meg. And she just looks uncomfortable and unhappy as Emma is talking, and part of me is like, either Meghan wants her to wrap up talking about herself so she can resume glazing her own story and flaunting the fairy tale version in her head, or she genuinely feels called out and insecure by her own failures and desperation. What do you guys think? Emma then asks the one question that most people tend to avoid with Meghan, whether she actually has this all figured out or not.
is that all, like pre-figured out, or are you just working it out as you go along?
And right on cue, Meghan launches into defense mode, making sure to let Emma know that whatever failure and desperation she felt is different than Meghan. It's hilarious. Take a look.
Well, I think what's different than what you're saying is your initial experience is that we've been in partnership with Netflix for 5 years already. My husband and I. So there's familiarity and there's comfort. And while that was just on the content side, not on the commerce side, these are relationships and friendships now. So though I'm working more so with the other building of Netflix, it's still the same group of people.
Look at that forced smile she makes here, as if to prove to Emma that she is not triggered and she's just so chill. But the fact that she doesn't answer her question and instead jumps into the defense argument that she's had this deal with Netflix since 2020, it just shows that Meghan doesn't want to confront the idea that As Ever is a last-minute resort that she just launched a few months ago, and that during the initial announcement of With Love Meghan, the brand had a completely different name. But she continues to peddle this lie that these are people she knows personally, as if there hasn't been 1,000,001 reports about how Netflix is so close to Spotifying them. You know, dropping them and branding them as grifters.
The fucking grifters. That's the podcast we should have launched with them.
Narcissism with a side of jam. One thing I realized throughout this interview is that Meghan doesn't let Emma finish a question or a thought without feeling the need to interrupt her by either saying yes or just saying something else completely.
Something that's so close to your heart and something that you clearly take a lot of pride in, because there's a lot of compromise when it comes to partnerships. And I say this to founders all the time.
Right? When you give something, you have to imagine that something's coming back.
And so what does that partnership actually look like right now?
Well, I think
the narcissism is through the roof because she then admits that the brand's success, a subjective statement I feel, is all because of her involvement and the fact that people can feel that.
it's my vision, and also the success of the brand, I believe, is rooted in the fact that you can feel when I am involved in something.
Sure, Jan.
I'm sorry, but what? This once again is a Freudian slip because most founders, especially when they're creating something people can eat, will tell you that they want the success to come from the product. So whether it makes your life easier or if it's a delicacy to enjoy. But no, with Meghan, she admits that any success is simply because she's part of it.
Rachel, this is serious. This is really serious.
Well, by that logic, we can say that any failure is also because Meghan is involved in it. Whether it's
American Riviera Orchard
or archetypes or any sort of involvement from Meghan in Invictus, we can objectively say that the same equation applies here too.
People are saying you're the next Martha Stewart, you're the next Gwyneth Paltrow.
My bad. I'm sorry.
After years of inside sources and executives saying that Meghan and Harry can't take constructive criticism or advice, you'd think that Meghan would learn from all past failed ventures. Instead, she peddles the narrative that she is responsible for everything and mentions how her partners trust her.
The fact that they trust my final judgment is great on what I want to put out there.
To show how hands-on she is in the creative process, she actually exposes and confirms those exact stories of how she's difficult to work with and only thinks that her ideas are the best.
The analogy I say is, don't bake the cake without me.
She's not really an expert, and yet she acts like one.
If I'm in the kitchen, I want to be part of
making the batter. What's the flavor profile? And there's an entire team that can help put that cake in the oven.
but I want to check it before it goes in the oven.
And while it's great to be involved and to quality check things, with Meghan's track record of constantly switching up her brand and stories of not accepting any sort of advice, and now reports of the fact that she's manufacturing 2,000 miles away, and on top of that, her admission that she wants to pause the brand after it launched, mind you, to check stability and availability of things, it just shows me that she's a mess with absolutely no responsible control, but wants to be involved because it's her show and we're just watching her. Another thing you'll realize with Meghan is that she can't finish a sentence because of how much word salad she wants to shove in there.
I love the details of things, and I think that's where a lot of the magic comes in. So in
Partnership, well, we are every day in the weeds of minutia, from packaging and unboxing to the language on a newsletter, which yes, I'm one of the people who's looking at all of that and making sure that it feels reflective of my vision for the brand. It's just a constant dance.
She says all of this and then will release rosé as if it's her own, but then when you trace the barcode number through the barcode registry, it comes up as registered to a wine gift shop LLC in San Francisco. Or she'll act as if she's in some etiquette masterclass of hosting, but will post the most mundane 4th of July video that looks like you took a time machine back to 2009 filled with seal clapping and boring fruit arrangements. Don't forget the flower sprinkles that she's trying so hard to make happen, even putting them on ice.
It's not going to happen.
I've seen baby showers with more creative direction. She's constantly talking and bragging about how things are sold out day of.
We spent so much time making sure we had so much more inventory. That's why we took the time, and you guys are doing it again. We're nearly sold out on everything, and I can't believe it.
And it really makes me question, how much stock is there really?
trying to make sure you have all the metrics and all the learns that you can.
Does she just wander around filming herself nonstop, talking only about herself? Every word she utters screams self-serving agenda. If you spent so much time making sure you got enough inventory, clearly you should have enough.
Trying to make sure you have all the metrics and all the learns that you can.
It's not like this is when the PS5 first dropped and the whole world wanted it. This is just flower sprinkles, for God's sake. And why is it that no one else but Meghan is talking about it? I've seen viral TikTok posts about beauty products with millions of impressions, and yet brands will make sure to have enough in stock at least for a few days. And the fact that Mrs. Random Flower Sprinkles, who no one is talking about, is talking to herself, about herself, in her garden yet again, and there's no stats? The only stats we're seeing is the fact that all the marketing that she is manufacturing everything either in her garden or close to her garden is actually coming from thousands of miles away or from other LLC companies. This is the equivalent of me drop shipping things from AliExpress and slapping on a fancy label. In a previous video, I talked about how Meghan loves to piggyback off the influence already built by the whale's children, then pretends it's her own success, calling it the Meghan effect. We saw this when she literally copied outfits worn by Catherine's kids for her Instagram shop, and then went on the Jamie Kern-Lima podcast pretending that her link or association to things is the reason for the success of the brand, even going as far as claiming
Small businesses who would take women out of positions of being trafficked and instead give them jobs, and by wearing those jeans, I knew it was going to allow them to save more women.
And now the insanity is she is trying to pass it off as her own, again, as I already told you she would.
Yes, and I think what was so wild, maybe the surprise came in when anything that my children were wearing started to get monetized and affiliate sales and part of headlines and things. That's where it became a little uncomfortable.
Yeah.
What's wild is that she's acting like it's all so uncomfortable when she's the one marketing her kids on Instagram, tagging outfits on the Shop My page, and linking looks that were not only worn by the whale's children first, but were literally designed with them as the original inspiration. Then she rambles and says,
But at the same time, you know, when it comes from a place of love and excitement, very, very different.
like, what does that even mean? The grandiosity continues when she starts talking about how a 15-year-old girl will save up some money to buy her jam.
The 15-year-old girl who's saved up her money to be able to buy a couple of the offerings that we have. I was the person that waited so long to get that product. Do I want to, a second go around, not be able to get the product? Or do I want to be able to buy it and share it with all my friends? So
It's as if she's some cultural icon teens are lining up for, like they're camping out overnight to score a jar of overpriced fruit spread.
trying to make sure you have all the metrics and all the learns that you can, but when everything sells out in 45 minutes, you don't necessarily get the same learns. You're like, okay, so now is
okay,
the
minute
scale
number
up.
Meghan really wants us to believe this jam is a revolutionary product changing lives, when in reality, it's jam. Nothing about this is groundbreaking, but the way she speaks about it, you think she was launching the iPhone. One user said that she talks about her raspberry soup like it's the elixir of life. Another user said, her ability to turn very ordinary things that almost everyone on Earth does daily into some self-congratulatory achievements worthy of a Nobel Prize is unrivaled, almost beyond parody.
I don't want to miss a moment for my children. And I love that I can do drop off and pick up at school and do meetings in between and go to Disneyland for 2 days, as we just did, and, you know, volunteer to serve hot lunch at school or be the chaperone for the kindergarten field
you're
trip.
So good. You're making
I
so
love
you have
packing
to
the
choose.
lunchbox.
You do?
Yes, that's like,
stop it, Meghan. No, you don't. Do you
Yes,
do
I
it?
do.
Somehow it always loops back to how amazing she is for doing what literally millions of people do every day without needing a round of applause. Check out this creepy video of Meghan, I don't know, addressing children?
Kids, it's impossible to not make space for creativity.
Is no one checking who's the target audience of this woman? Anyway, guess what she says next? If you guess the ages of her kids, then ding ding ding, you are correct.
We have 2 little ones. They are now 4 and 6.
If you're new here, Meghan has this habit of only mentioning her kids by age, like they're 4 and 6 or 3 and 5, as if that's the only detail she's memorized about them. There's never anything real or specific, just vague updates dressed up in royal cosplay, like she's channeling Princess Diana without ever showing an ounce of actual motherhood. She also brings up her actress days, and she takes them a bit off guard when she says,
when I was an auditioning actress, and this is well before Suits, you have to think, at that time, there were certainly not a lot of mixed race parts.
Really?
No.
Really?
No, there weren't a lot of...
look at the way she's trying to convince Emma of her point. Her hands are clutched together, eyebrows raised, and eyes spotting their target. She then goes on a whole tangent, which to some degree she is right, about how mixed race stars or people of color struggle when it comes to roles in the industry. But what cracks me up with Meghan is that she was not really getting booked because she wasn't that special, and that's something she doesn't understand, so it makes her go into a whole tangent of,
It was Girl Next Door. That was typically blonde-haired, blue-eyed, and a certain look. But
Because I'm half white, I would also be submitted for those roles. And then if it was a character that had any sort of ethnicity, there was always a bit of an edge to those characters. I'd be submitted for those roles. And I also, to a lot of people in
casting, they thought I was Latina.
Let's end this on 2 final points. After everyone liked Emma's podcasting style of asking questions without the extreme flattery of someone like Jamie, people started saying Emma was actually shading Meghan. She even left all the brutal comments under the YouTube video where viewers dragged Meghan. But when the backlash hit, it seems like someone made a phone call, because Emma suddenly posted a surprise video praising how incredible Meghan is.
When I sat down with Meghan, Duchess of Sussex, I expected a great conversation, but what I didn't expect was how much clarity, conviction, and honestly, genuine wisdom that she brought to the table. For Meghan, influence isn't just about visibility, it's about intentionality. And even in silence, she used her platform to elevate others. As ever started with homemade jam, not splashy rollout, just a personal gesture, and it grew because it was real.
I wonder if this is a Dr. Sophie Chanduka moment, because if you recall, Dr. Sophie said that she had a falling out with Harry and Meghan when Meghan wanted her to make a statement about the time that Meghan wouldn't let her stand next to Harry on stage. And then everyone sent Meghan hate because of her own actions. So that has nothing to do with Dr. Sophie. Yeah, she wanted Dr. Sophie to address that. And now, let's end it on the cringe Jamie video, because I can never get enough of that.
Watching Jeopardy. Even if you don't know that the answer is right, still shout out what you think the answer could be. And it's okay if it's not right. Yes!
Their Jeopardy advice feels like a desperate attempt at early 2000s millennial cool, awkward, forced, and cringeworthy. It's the kind of try-hard moment that screams trying too hard to be relatable, but just ends up embarrassing. Well, that's enough embarrassment for one video. Let me know if you guys enjoyed this and would like another part. There is so much content I can pull from this podcast and more. Be sure to like and subscribe for new videos each week. Put those post notifications on so you don't miss the live chat premiere we do for every single video. Follow us on our social media, especially our new Instagram, The Scandalous Media. And as ever, I'll see you next time.